Hello, my name is Derya Cokal. Today I will talk about processing of plural pronouns in set-subset contexts. Previous corpus studies have shown annotators disagree on the interpretation of anaphoric references to plurals in natural texts. For instance, the Fusion Music Festival was extremely eclectic, the bands had rehearsed consistently, the guitarists had extensively checked the stage they had prepared. Here, they, for some annotators, can refer to the whole set because there is an overlap between the bands and guitarists. For other annotators, bands and guitarists are different groups because not every band would have a guitarist. Therefore, they can refer to either the guitarists or the bands. In this study, we have two main questions. Question 1. What is the source of such disagreements among annotators? Question 2. Are the disagreements due to an underspecified interpretation or a processing difficulty because of less clear interpretation of pronoun? We have designed two experiments to answer these questions. In sentence completion experiment, we contrasted a set subset plural groups and asked participants to complete the rest of given sentences. For instance, in the disjoint group condition, we had the bands and the builders. For instance, the bands had rehearsed consistently, the builders had extensively checked the stage. The builders aren't the subset of the bands. On the other hand, in the disjoint group condition, the bands had rehearsed consistently, the guitarists had extensively checked the stage. Here, the guitarists can be the subset of the bands. Our predictions: in the disjoint group context, compared to joint group, frequency of single group references would be higher, frequency of reference to both groups would be lower. Let's see our results. In figure 1 on the left, the blue bar shows a higher percentage of a single group reference in the disjoint group condition. On the other hand, in figure 2 on the right, the red bar shows a higher percentage of the use of ambiguous verbs in the joint group condition. Then we designed eye-tracking reading experiment. It was a 2x2 design. We crossed groups. We had joint versus disjoint groups, and we manipulated verbal ambiguity. We had two verb types, ambiguous versus unambiguous verbs. Let's see our examples. For instance, here in this joint group, the bands, the builders, they had prepared. Here we don't know who prepared, the bands or the builders. On the other hand, joint group condition, the bands and the guitars, they prepared. When we use they, we don't know who did the action. But in unambiguous condition, we specified what they is referring to. In the disjoint group condition, for instance, the bands rehearsed, the builders checked, they had prepared carefully. Here they refers to builders because builders can repair, but not the bands. On the other hand, the bands rehearsed, the guitarists checked the stage, they had strum. Here, the guitarists can strum, but not the bands. Let's see our predictions. Our main prediction: for the ambiguous verbal condition, the disjoint group would have higher first regressions odd and higher total reading times. Then why? Perhaps for joint group cases, participants would have less processing difficulties because the ambiguity would be less salient. Participants will think subsets, the guitarists, are part of a whole group. Let's see our experiment results. Figure 3 on the left, the green bars show higher percentage of regressions odd for they in an unambiguous context. In figure 4 on the right, the green bar shows longer reading times when they was used in the joint group context with an unambiguous verb. Our results indicate when alternative interpretations are clearly joined, there were longer processing times because the pronouns might be fully interpreted and the discourse is updated. When the alternative interpretations aren't clear, subjects may not fully resolve the pronoun. So, we had an ambiguity advantage in processing of joint groups, perhaps due to underspecification in processing of plurals, good enough interpretation, or the difference between shallow and deep processing. Our two experiments indicate annotators' disagreements are due to less clear interpretations of plural pronouns, but not underspecified representations. Thank you for watching my presentation. I look forward to receiving your comments and questions.